Honestly, how often do you think that happens? Like, really happens?
Women marrying old men for money?
Yeah.
Every 15 seconds?
No.
You think that Jerry Hall married Rupert Murdoch because she loves him?
Yeah. I believe she loves him.
He's living on borrowed time and she knows it.
He's probably a cool guy.
Uh-huh.
He's like smart, charming, witty.
Okay, you're making a pro Rupert Murdoch argument right now.
If Rupert Murdoch didn't exist, there wouldn't be The Simpsons.
I'm willing to live with that.
Wow. Hi, everybody.
Hello!
Hello!
Hello! Former Tower Records, how are you?
They've been here ever since. These are the ghosts of Tower Records. Thank you for hanging around, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, congratulations on season 2. I love the show. I loved season 1, and I like season 2 even more. And I was telling you in the green room, it's because there's something about watching the two. It's almost like a before sunrise movie, but extended over the course of a whole season. It's two people kind of casually figuring each other out, which is wonderful. How did you come to decide that you could do a season of television like that? Sort of be averse to conflict for a series of episodes.
Yeah, well, I know Gillian and I, after season 1, you know, there were so many episodes and scenes where we're just not even together. And we enjoyed hanging out on set together. So it was nice with season 2. We're like, maybe we could write a few more scenes where we're actually in a room together. Yeah. And yeah, so that was really fun getting to do scenes with Gillian and have them actually be getting along without it. It's less fraught. Yeah.
Do you worry creating a season of television that's less fraught as the writer and sort of co-creator of the show? Do you sort of ever hesitate or get nervous that maybe there isn't enough conflict, or how do we know that this is going to sort of read as dramatic enough for the audience?
I mean, I maybe should be. There's other writers on the staff who I think push us to make sure we have enough drama and conflict. If I had my druthers, it'd probably be, and it says something about my personality, that I'd just be like, can't they just get along all the time and like each other? You know, which is basically me saying, like, can we just get along? Will you like me? Yeah.
You are Gus. Gus
yes,
is,
yes, yeah.
You just described Gus in those scenes. Yeah. Can't everybody be good here? Can we just do this?
Yeah. I wish I was doing a real performance like Gillian was, playing a different character. But.
Gillian, how much is your character based off of Paul's wife, who he created the show with?
I don't feel like very much. I mean, I think especially now into season 2, it has become its own dynamic, their own characters, because I don't really think this resembles your courtship. No. So
that was such a big part of the selling point, I think, of the first season. So much of the talking points were like, oh, a show based off of these two's relationship. But I mean, I would imagine that once you start writing, that kind of goes out the window.
Originally, the idea was that we were like further along in our like self-awareness and development, and Judd Apatow was actually, that'd be a really boring show. You should dial it back and be less self-aware and less like therapized, if that's
your original pitch was two healthy people start a relationship.
Yeah, and halfway into me saying that, Judd fell asleep. But yeah, no. So it's actually a lot more. We make it crazier than it is, and the two of us are bored people. We actually didn't like it that it was sort of being promoted as something that's based on us, mainly because I was like, man, if I heard a couple was basing a show on how they met, I'd be like, eye roll of the century. Like, get over yourselves. Who cares? So we quickly fictionalized it.
Gillian, how have you seen that your character has changed going into the second season? Oftentimes, writers end up starting to write a little bit more for the actress. They sort of see the things that they like and want to do.
That's a harder question for me to answer, because then that would require me having a level of detachment from myself that I don't possess. But I will say that I enjoyed watching Mickey really try at work for the first time ever in the second season. That's a nice arc that I enjoyed. Someone who coasts along on charm and bullshit for the most part, actually putting themselves out there and trying. And then I think she's a healthy mixture. I was going to say healthy, but that does not make sense. A mixture of self-awareness and then self-sabotage, which continues to play out from season 1, and sort of the balance of those two shifts episode to episode.
Well, they play off of each other, right? It's sometimes a debilitating form of self-awareness, which I think some of us can kind of possess, which is like you're self-aware to the point of self-destruction.
Or you think having self-awareness is the end. It's like, oh no, I know what I'm doing. It's like, yeah, but then you could also maybe make a different choice. Like, no, I think just being aware of what I'm doing is enough. So I think she sometimes gets a little stuck in the like, I know my own bullshit. It's like, but you could be making healthier decisions perhaps. Nah.
Yeah.
Right, it's that thing of I know my crutch, so I'll just fall back on my crutch rather than sort of transcending my crutch in any way.
Yeah. No, those are the worst kind of people. I do that. People in college who was like, "Hey, you knew I was a snake when you married me." Did I marry somebody in college? Did I marry my friend Chris in college? No, I had a buddy who would be like, hey, he'd say that about girls. He'd be like, hey, they knew that I was a snake when we started dating. I'm like, well, that doesn't, just because you're aware you're a jerk doesn't mean it's okay. But
This is nerve-wracking, I have to say, this setup with the audience down there and me up here and wearing a skirt. I'm just going to say, this is nerve-wracking and my arm is not moving from this position. Good gosh.
I'll make up for it. Oh. Yeah.
Fuck, yeah, no, sorry.
Oh, everybody cleared out of the room.
So you said that you wanted to write more scenes between the two of you because you didn't get to do that much. How did you sort of structure those? Did you just sort of work on those in the writer's room, or did you gather with Gillian and sort of discuss what those scenes could be or what you wanted to play? Because there's a very natural tone to them.
Yeah, I with each season, it starts off with us going like, okay, they're meeting each other, and it's the first month. What are all the stories you've experienced when you've dated somebody for a month? And season 2, it's like, okay, you've known somebody for 2 months, and on and on. And so in season 2, the stories that came out were kind of like, oh, usually around like 2, it's different for everybody, but like early on in a relationship is the first time you maybe go to a work party and you meet the people the person works with, or I had the experience of you're maybe a month into dating somebody and their parent comes into town, and you're like, well, we're not quite there yet, but this might be the time that I'm only going to get to meet this person. So then you do, and you're like, oh, we should have waited. That was way too early.
Is it has it ever been as nerve-wracking to meet a parent as we all make it out to be? I've never had it to be a nerve-wracking experience.
It's been nerve-wracking for me watching people meet my mother. Yes.
She a
Why is
tough
that?
judge.
I just remember someone, my mom's going to kill me because I always embarrass her and all these things, saying like, oh, look at her, she's growing up. And my mom was like, she'll always be my baby. So I think that the guy I was dating was like, whoa.
Absolutely, she's growing up, but yes, always be your baby. You are right, yeah.
I would get, I'm probably more like Gus in real life than Mickey, so I get stressed out about, are they getting along? Is it going well? What's, feeling torn between the two people. So I've probably worked myself up with people meeting my mom.
I think, I'll meet parents, and I'm such a kiss ass. It's easy for me to be to meet a parent and be like, I'm the most wonderful boy. Yeah, but then I realized later, I'm like, oh, that's not what the person I'm with wants. They don't want their parents to like me. They want me to come in and kind of be a bad boy. The person who more runs into it, it's less parents, and I have 2 older sisters, and so not with my wife. My sisters adore my wife so much, but previously, if they've met a girlfriend, it's sort of like I can tell my sisters' reactions are like, no, we're the ones who boss them around. We're the ones who have the power here. So that it's actually a sister girlfriend thing. Has been
family
those are
dynamic?
the previous conflicts, but not with parents. No. Although I did meet a guy once, and a girlfriend's dad, and he subjected me to a lie detector test. No. And then I knocked over his mom's ashes, and the cat. It's Meet the Parents, guys.
Okay,
Remember
that's
that
what
movie? She doesn't like it. I'm sorry, Gillian.
I've only seen that movie once, so I knew that was a plot to something. There was no way it was.
It was also lame what I did. Sorry, I apologize.
So do you feel as the character has grown a little more, we already said self-aware, but not self-aware, but a little more in control of herself in the second season, that you're sort of pulling her more into maybe who you are? Do you feel a little bit closer to Mickey this season?
No.
Okay. Paul, anyway.
I think it, for me, remains, it feels like I'm playing a character when I'm playing Mickey. I don't have the balls to do what she does. Even when she's being more well behaved, she still makes me nervous. So no, I don't go around telling people to go. Can we swear on AOL?
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't go around telling people to go fuck themselves and tipping.
Whoa!
Yeah. I asked first. Knocking racks of children's clothing over. I don't really act out in that way. So even a more mature version of Mickey still feels pretty far from who I am.
And it's also, it's a fine line, which is like you want to see the character getting better, but I recognize as the writer, I'm like, well, I know the more fun thing is to be somebody who's wild. So you don't want to like completely have the character get on the right track and then Gillian be like, wait, I got to do a scene where I'm just like normal,
Well adjusted.
Well, I think you do a wonderful job in the second season of sort of making her normal / well-adjusted, but at the same time almost impulsively well-adjusted in the way that she interacts with people. There's that wonderful scene in the mall with the guy that's dating her roommate, and she kind of attacks him instead of going about it in a normal way. She is sort of attacking him with normalcy or how to be a better person.
Get better.
Yeah. The absolute wrong thing to do. It would make someone feel like shit.
Right.
She's very aggressive.
Yeah.
And she feels protective of her friend. And
It's wonderful.
isn't Claudia Doherty the best?
Yeah.
She's a real gem.
Yeah.
And I just love that's like feels like a real gift to this show. I didn't know Claudia before this started, and I think she's so brilliant. And
You're both gems.
oh, come on.
You walk into a scene with these two, I'm like, I'm sorry, did I just step into a jewel box?
You're wearing them down, Paul. Wearing them down. They
It'll
don't
turn.
want to laugh at these, but they're laughing.
Then it'll turn again, and then
It'll
it'll turn
turn
back,
again.
and then yeah.
Is it? I know it's just off-putting to just be working with two gems. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying anymore, guys. How are you? Farmer Tower Records. I used to look at CDs here.
What?
Yeah.
What was the last CD you bought? Do you remember?
CD. My mom threw them all out. I can't remember. I don't really know anything about music.
First CD.
Oh God, it's like Sarah McLachlan or something like that. I was this is how much I am not Mickey Dobbs. I was offered tickets to a Sarah McLachlan concert by my aunt when I was in junior high, and I was too afraid to go because I thought people would be doing drugs there at a Sarah McLachlan concert.
I love that story so much.
Doing drugs at the Sarah McLachlan.
Yes. My cousin took me to a house party when I was in high school and people were smoking weed, and I was so afraid of getting contact high that I tried to hold my breath the entire party.
Whoa!
My first
Wild.
concert experience was I went to see the Smashing Pumpkins, and afterwards I was telling my older sister about it, and she was so kind because I was describing the process of an encore and a double encore, which is like everybody knows that's like very standard, but she pretended like I was like, so the concert was done. Everybody clapped. They came back out and played 2 more songs, and my sister would be like, that's really cool. As opposed to, yeah, dummy.
Paul, you have you said you had a room of writers on this, and you're sort of crafting not just jokes, but everyone's sort of talking about this moment in their relationships and pulling stories out of that. How often are you sort of drawing from reality, and how often do you not want to draw from reality? Where do you draw the line? Because it seems so often with Apatow's movies and his shows, it's about sort of, going over that line in the sake of truth.
Yeah, my personal code about it is I can put myself on the hook or make fun of myself, but I do try to draw a line of like, just nobody deserves to be mocked or like psychologically examined on the show who doesn't ask to be. You know what I mean? Like just because they're a part of my life, that doesn't mean like, hey, I get to exploit your troubles. So I try to just focus it on me. But it is interesting because you'll be in the writer's room sometimes and people will be like, well, Gus would do this because he's such a pussy. And I'd be like, well, well, he does have his reasons. Let's not forget that. He's also a good person, like
I
me.
think this show does a wonderful job of making Gus to be like a pretty stand-up person and not really a pussy at all. Like,
Yeah,
not to
well,
debate
or
the
if he
merits.
What's wrong with being a pussy,
Or if
by the
he-
way?
Yeah, that's right. Or if he is. I shouldn't have even used that word. I regret it.
Sorry, I shouldn't have followed up on it.
No, for me, we maybe go too far. Like, there's times where it's like, oh, let's try to. The word we use is scuff up. We're like, hey, how can we scuff this person up? Because I think it'd be gross if I wrote a show where for 10 episodes, I'm like, I'm a really great guy. You should hang out with me. Like, it'd be like a commercial where you're like, hey, this guy's in denial. So as much as possible, we try to make it that it's actually.
Would you consider the scuff up like in the last episode of the first season where he sort of has a meltdown in the writer's room?
Yeah, that like somebody, and people hate that. People hate seeing people sabotage stuff at work because I think they do it. I think that's
Really?
yeah. I think that's maybe why they don't like it.
Did you have that experience?
No, I go too far on the other end where I am like desperately trying to keep a job and fit in and stuff. But so that's actually the fun, is being like, oh, what if I played on this thing that deep down I fear I could do, you know? But
So is it nice to have a season where they're not scuffing you up that much?
Have you watched the last couple?
I'm only on to
Yeah.
Dad Visits Town.
I get scuffed up too. Yeah, though she makes some bad decisions at the end, back half of the second season. So, but yeah, it was interesting that watching Mickey give advice to other people. It's like that person, who's like 2 weeks into therapy and thinks they've figured it all out, and is so eager to tell everybody. So I do spend a good section of the season trying to tell everybody else what's wrong with them while ignoring enormous problems in my own life.
The person who quit smoking like a few days ago and is like, it's the best. You shouldn't
Yeah.
smoke. You
Yeah.
shouldn't do it.
oh, you smoke? Oh.
I quit like 3 days ago and I feel great.
that's
I
terrible.
smell amazing.
The thing we've been saying lately is like the relationship right now is like there are a bunch of red flags that are going up, but instead of being like, ooh, that's I gotta stay away from that person. Hey, Rodney Dangerfield. We're saying the red flags are like the similar to a bull and a matador, that like Gus and Mickey charge at the red flags. They're excited by them as opposed to being like, scared off.
I think that every relationship has red flags, though. That's
Yeah.
two people meeting each other and coming together. They're very different people, and red flags are going to come up. And the only way that relationships can persist are ones where you get through the red flags.
Yeah,
I would think, until there's,
If people were being self-aware, they wouldn't get into any relationship whatsoever. They'd be like, oh, this is going to end horribly. Even if it ends well, it's still going to be that
Death.
Death. That's the road we're all headed to, everyone. Just let that sink in.
Former Tower Records! Well, I have to ask.
No, if you buy a bunch of stuff, you don't die.
You
If you
work,
make a lot of money and you buy stuff, you don't die. So that's the way out.
It's true. You worked on the Peewee Herman film.
You could freeze your head if you made enough money. So yeah.
That's right. Walt Disney's just
Ted
waiting
Williams, right?
to get, Ted Williams and Walt Disney are going to get unfrozen, and they're going to be pissed off.
Just their heads, like it's gonna be like Brain and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Ted Williams for no reason, because he's not evil or anything.
No.
He's a baseball player.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I interrupted you with that.
Oh, I
garbage.
interrupted. And I'm not sorry.
No apologies.
You wanted to think about that character from Ninja Turtles, everybody. You remember it. It'd been too long since you thought about it.
You wanted to imagine a baseball player who you can't picture inside the body of that character. Sorry.
Perfect, yeah.
So Pee-wee Herman, you worked with Paul Rubens on
Yeah.
the Pee-wee Herman movie. It was amazing. I loved it.
Oh, thanks.
We had Paul here. What was it like working with him?
Oh, it was awesome. It was a dream come true. I mean, as a kid, I grew up loving Pee-wee, dressed up as Pee-wee, and was just a fanatic.
No shit.
Yeah, but it was, you're like, yes, clearly. Yeah, and I had to kind of keep my fanboy card in check the first 2 years we were working together. I wouldn't totally fanboy out, but then by the end I grew comfortable, and I would be like, I remember the first time we hung out, we were at a restaurant, and we were meeting each other like, hey, we're going to work together on this. Okay. You're sort of feeling each other out. And then Tequila came on. The song like started blaring over the speakers. And he went, if this had been a year ago, I would have ran out of this room screaming. So that bonded us. And he's a great man. He's the best. I have a lifelong friend now, and it's great.
Let's get some questions from you guys, former Tower Records ghosts, or ghosts of Tower Records.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
What's
Good,
your
and
name?
you?
I'm Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. I'm Paul.
Hi. Good to, I know. Good to meet you guys. So I'm a huge fan of the show. I binged out it in like 2 days. And my question for this season is, are we going to see more of Wichita, or has the plot kind of flown from that?
Ooh, flown on a broomstick, perhaps. No, I liked it. There's some more Wichita. If you're a Wichita fan, there's times where we're in the room, writers' room, and we'll just be like, man, I wish we could just work on Wichita. This sounds like a fun show. But yes, it does come back, mainly because the characters involved with it and the actors we love so much, like Tracy Toms and Seth Morris. They're such good actors, it'd be a shame to lose them.
And the lovely Iris Apatow.
That's right, of course.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. You go even further in this season in sort of talking about stage moms and a child actor, and it's played up for humor, and it's also kind of sad as those relationships are. What made you want to go there? Did you have any experience with that, or did you ever witness it?
I think it's the fun thing of, with a show, you just kind of make choices quickly. In season 1, you're just sort of like, okay, she's a child actor and she has a mom. And then season 2, you get to come back and you'd be like, start asking questions of like, well, what would that be like if you were a kid and your dad was an actor who didn't succeed and now he's living through you? And it's the fun of writing a show, is getting to go deeper with the characters.
Do you feel like you get to do that at all with you two as well in the second season, that you sort of made decisions in the first season and now you can be like, oh, well, why did we make that decision? And what is the consequence of that decision?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, you were going to say,
sorry.
Did you have an insight about the child actor of it all?
Oh, I was going to say, I did a movie recently where there are a lot of children in it, and Paul plays a on-set tutor for kid actors on the show. And one of the real on-set tutors came up to me and was like, I like your show, but a lot of the tutors don't. And I didn't understand what she meant at first. I had forgotten like Paul's character and the critique of because it's all about me in my mind. So I was like, what? It's a show about a radio station. And I was like, oh, well, you just, you have a better sense of humor than they do. And she sort of looked at me, and then I was like, oh, because of, oh, yes, well, yeah, they must not like it, huh?
We had heard that they were the student teachers union was going to release a letter to the press after the first season came out and be like, just so it's known, this is not how it's done. This is like they were very upset. So you don't want to be on the bad side of the student teacher union.
Is Iris's on-set tutor like, how dare you?
Yeah, how dare you spit in my face?
She's being picketed for working on the show.
Yeah. It's a weird setup.
Next question.
Hey guys, who's your favorite celebrities to impersonate?
What a great question. The only one I can do is Katharine Hepburn. Go, Paul.
What? Me do Katharine Hepburn?
Yeah, let's switch.
Okay. Why I oughta. Isn't that the thing she would always say? Why I oughta?
Honeymooners guy always said.
To the moon, Alice.
Yeah.
What's your impression, Paul, that you do? That she has to do now?
She has, okay. Stephen Root.
Oh, I just worked with him recently.
Oh, so you know.
Whoa.
Wait a minute. Stephen Root, what'd you do with I see.
Shockingly good Stephen Root.
Stephen Root and I were in an insane movie together called Bad Milo about a demon that comes out of Ken Marino's butt. So if you've never seen it, Stephen Root also has a demon that comes out of his butt. Check it out.
Next question. I think we have time for one more.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you? So I just wanted to know how it was to work with Judd Apatow, and what's the difference between like Netflix and like doing a traditional TV show.
Netflix is very different. We knew we were doing 2 seasons before we even started this versus network television where you're always waiting to hear if you're canceled unless you're a runaway huge smash success. So it was a lot calmer on this set. And I felt like that enabled the writers to write with more confidence and take bigger risks. Not that Community didn't end up taking crazy risks, but it always put us on the verge of cancellation. So
Community was only risk.
it was a pure risk.
Yeah.
It started out as kind
All
of a
reward.
normal show. First half of the first season, we were kind of a normal show. And then around the Halloween episode, I was like, oh no, this is not a normal show. But I also think that, working with Judd really gives you a lot of freedom because he's, such a well-known, well-respected person. So we got, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you guys were allowed to write the show you wanted to write without a lot of interference.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, having both Judd and Netflix, 2 people who are in support of letting people do what they think is best, as opposed to what they think people might maybe like, and we're fearfully trying to figure out what somebody would maybe enjoy, which is a bad place to start. I mean, the thing that's great working with Judd is he's just he's open to feelings, and he's open to talking about like what's on your mind, and there's not, I can't imagine, like the producer for like Lethal Weapon, Joel Silver, going in and being like, Joel, I cried last night. And be like, good, let's talk about it. I mean, Judd is he's an empath, and he like loves talking about how you're feeling. So that's great. And then working with Netflix, the difference.
You're going to get a call from Joel Silver. That's
Like, I
don't
cry
ever
all the
assume
time.
what I want to do in a meeting, kid. You don't know me.
I have a heart too, boy. Sorry, Mr. Silver.
Produced man without a face. No, I don't know.
And then with Netflix, what's great about, or the thing that's different working with them, which is also great, is if this show had been on a network, been a network sitcom, Mickey and Gus would have had to have slept together by the end of the first episode, just so people are like, don't worry, they're a couple, they're gonna have a relationship. And what was nice about season 1 is that we can take our time and actually have it unfold how most relationships do, I think, which is like, you meet the person and then you maybe go on a date, then maybe you don't, and you're trying to make it work with your work schedules, and that sort of stuff I don't think network TV has much patience for. Yeah.
What's the sort of, what's the operation in terms of how long each episode has to be? Because the episode are a perfect length, and they're usually between like 27 and 35 at most, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, they don't have any restriction. I wrote on the that 4th season of Arrested Development that was on Netflix, and that was the thing everybody was just so excited by. It was like, wait a minute, we don't have to like sweatily try to like cram 22 minutes of get jokes into 22 minutes and go a little longer, and that's also helped with the pace of the show too. I think you can tell there's not that sort of like thing of like, okay, it's 6.5 minutes in, it's time for a commercial, so we're gonna try to ramp up to this arbitrary conflict to get you to come back 2 minutes later after they sell Nabisco, man.
Do you ever find that helps you as a writer, though, that having...
Keep going. You want to do more with that.
No, I don't. I really don't.
I want more, too, please.
A little bit more Nabisco
What?
rant.
I gotta sell Tide for the man? Okay, that's it. Yeah.
Do you ever find that those sort of like arbitrary things help you, though, as a writer, that suddenly you have like actual goals that you have to meet? Oh, we have to have a blow at the end of Act 2, or I've heard someone say that one time. I assume that's a thing.
I've heard that said too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that seems like a TV term.
That's the only term I got.
It was a really good one. Act break.
Hey, man,
blow.
there's been times where I want to blow at the end of Act 2.
Because I'm a snake and you married me.
Tell us more.
No, yes, I agree that like certain good creative stuff comes out of like limitations and stuff, and we do have those, which will be like, hey, we only have 6 days to shoot this, we have to cut this scene, or we have this actor at this moment, so how can we put them in the scene and make it work? And then what's great about it is then it opens up your brain to like thinking. A lot of times if you come up with an idea, you only have like the 3 ways of thinking, and then if somebody goes like, no, you can't do it those 3 ways, it forces you to dig deeper. Yeah.
I have to ask before I let you go, wait, can I talk about it? I don't know if it's giving anything away. I think it's the 3rd or 4th episode, the
Go for it.
mushrooms.
Yeah?
The mushrooms episode, I loved it. Where did that come from? Whose experience did that was that pulled from?
Not mine.
Well, we know.
No, I think that just came out of the writer's room, us talking about, like, oh, when you, you take mushrooms with somebody you're dating. But you know what? It was less about the, like, hey, isn't it fun to watch people do drugs? And it was more my cast of characters that are coming out tonight.
Spoke out of the small space in your pulled lip.
And it was more about, oh, Mickey's trying to stay sober. What would it be like if she was put in a position where she's hanging out with a group of people who are all doing drugs and going, no, it's okay, go ahead, you can do it. And then after they take them, immediately regretting it and going like, oh, no, this was a horrible idea. Now I have to watch people have fun and not be a part of it. So
I thought it was a really good depiction of people having a psychedelic experience. It wasn't over the top and it wasn't making fun of it, but at the same time, it wasn't also giving them unnecessary conflict that could come of it. Which
right, you expect it to go, oh, everybody freaks out, and instead everybody has fun. Which is another thing you can't do on the national broadcasting.
Oh yeah, you can't show someone lighting and smoking a cigarette on network television. You can show them lighting it, but not smoking it. There's all these stupid rules.
You can show a woman being murdered and set on fire.
What?
Well, I'm just saying, there's weird standards of them being like, you can't show somebody smoking a cigarette. You can show a woman being lit on fire and murdered. That's okay, you know. Guys, the cynicism is really coming out right now, but no, don't you think there's weird different?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Just end this.
I agree.
No, come on, you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree. And
thank you.
Yeah, Law and Order SVU contains absolutely no drugs or anything at any point, but it contains the most absolutely grisly murders TV could possibly offer up.
I don't like that. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, she likes it.
Are you a fan of SVU?
I was more of a classic Law and Order classic fan, like some Jerry Orbach maybe, and some Chris Noth.
Beautiful Eyes.
Beautiful Eyes. Yeah, that was my jam. But my mother hates television, and so I was only allowed to watch TV if I was doing a chore like folding rags. My mother insisted that all of the rags that we used to clean the house be neatly folded in a box. And so I used to sit in front of the television watching Law and Order and folding rags, so I have a real fond association with the show.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, why do I have to fold these rags? Dun, na, 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 na. My mom is OCD about folding rags. She's just gonna pull them out of this box and clean the dining room table with them. Oh, well, I get to watch TV.
More. No.
Okay. Sometimes I would iron a shirt while I watched Chris Noth figure out a crime and Jerry Orbach do a quip.
Guys, Love premieres. Season 2 premieres at the end of the week, right? This Friday on Netflix.
Friday, March 10th, right at midnight.
And it's such a wonderful show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your nice questions.